we need to talk about a pretty incredible financial milestone, your first $20,000 in savings. And I know it sounds like just a number, but trust me, it's so much more than that. It's a genuine turning point, psychologically, practically. It changes everything. Let's dive in. So, does this sound familiar? That feeling of being totally exhausted, living in constant survival mode? You know, where you're always just one paycheck away from disaster. A flat tire, a surprise bill, things that should be small bumps in the road suddenly feel like a catastrophe. It is absolutely draining.
Okay, here's the best way to picture what building wealth really feels like. Imagine you are pushing a giant, heavy boulder up a super steep hill. And that first push, it's honestly the hardest part of the entire journey.
And that quote just nails it, doesn't it? When you first start saving, it feels exactly like that. You're putting in all this effort, you're sacrificing, you're sweating, and for what? The progress feels so tiny, you start to wonder, is this even worth it? Am I ever going to get anywhere? It's a tough, thankless part of the process, for sure.
But, and this is so important, that uphill battle does not last forever. There is a very real tipping point, a moment where you crest the top of that hill, and suddenly everything changes. All that effort you are putting in starts to get a massive boost from momentum.
And for most of us, that tipping point is right around $20,000. This is the moment your financial boulder finally gets to the top of the hill. Think about it. Everything before this point feels like you're fighting against gravity. Everything after this point feels like gravity is finally on your side.
Now, here's where things get really interesting, because the biggest change that happens here isn't in your bank account. It's not mathematical. The real magic of hitting this milestone happens completely inside your head.
See, before you have that cushion, your brain is totally locked in survival mode. Every single decision you make is filtered through a lens of fear and scarcity. You can't even think about long-term growth because you're just trying to put out fires today. But once you have that 20 grand, you shift into opportunity mode. It's like your brain can finally take a deep breath. You have the space to think strategically, to plan for the future, and to start seeing possibilities instead of just threats.
And hey, this isn't just a feeling, there's real data on this. Research from Vanguard found that just having $2,000 in savings boosts your sense of financial well-being by a whopping 21%. But get this, when you reach 3 to 6 months of living expenses, which for many is around that $20,000 mark, your well-being gets another huge jump. You can literally see the mental shift in the numbers. You stop asking, how do I survive? And you start asking, okay, how can I grow?
And this new mindset completely reframes how you deal with life. Remember that broken laptop or that surprise car repair that would have sent you into a panic before? Now, it's just an inconvenience, a problem you can solve with money, not with stress. You just handle it and move on. This mental shift also has an enormous impact on your career. And it all comes down to this incredible concept called walking away money.
So what is it? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's having enough cash saved up that you can literally walk away from a job you hate and be totally fine for months while you find something better. You're no longer a prisoner to your next paycheck. You get to operate from a place of power and choice, not desperation.
And this kicks off a fantastic, positive feedback loop. Just knowing you have that safety net makes you more confident. You start acting differently. You ask for that raise you know you deserve. You push back on things that are unreasonable. And the funny thing is, that confidence often leads to better projects, promotions, and, you guessed it, more money, which just makes your savings grow even faster.
All right, so we've covered the psychology of it. Let's switch gears and talk about the math, because once you've crested that hill, the numbers themselves start to do the heavy lifting for you.
Okay, check this out. Let's say you're saving $1,000 a month and getting an 8% return on it. That first 20 grand takes about 19 long, grueling months to save. But what about your second 20,000? Well, because your original money is now earning interest for you, that next 20 grand only takes 17 months. Same effort from you, but the process got faster. That's compounding in action, and it just keeps getting quicker from there. It's beautiful.
But before we finish up, I have to give you one really important warning. Because this is the exact spot where so many people make a huge mistake and lose all the incredible momentum they just built.
Please hear this. Once you hit that $20,000 milestone, do not treat it like a prize to be spent. It is not an excuse to go buy a new car or take a lavish vacation. That money is the foundation for everything you're going to build next. Spending it is like letting go of that boulder and watching it roll all the way back to the very bottom of the hill, forcing you to start that brutal push all over again.
At the end of the day, That first $20,000 doesn't just buy you things, it buys you agency, it buys you control. It fundamentally changes your relationship with risk, with your career, with your future. It's the difference between just reacting to whatever life throws your way and actually getting to design the life you truly want to live. So, that financial boulder, it's just sitting there, waiting. It's not going to move itself. And yeah, that first push is the hardest one there is, but it's also the one that matters most. So the only real question left is, what's your first push gonna be?